Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Oh my gosh, guys, we're back. I know it's only been like 48 hours, but to me it feels like it's been like a month. Oh my gosh. Crazy stuff. Crazy year. But hey, we don't have too much time to yap. We can get into these charts here. I'm still having problems with the monitor. Like before, I could, kind of turn it on, but now it's gone. It's gone. I have moved all of my stuff over to here. Let's see here. Okay, so just noting first of all that the dollar continues to show some weakness and hovering around 93. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so on the day that we went out, that we were gone, it was a pretty good down move, and then it just continued to go down. They kind of tried to pull it out, but it just new low. And then yesterday it opened up much lower, which was probably an overextension by the bears. And so the bulls were able to pull out a pretty great rally there. Didn't break a new high and then kind of going sideways. So I think from a technical perspective, there's going to be a lot of people looking for this to make a new low, but it's kind of hard to say. There is this point of control down there. Pretty tempting. Treasuries actually not changed all that much. Yesterday they had a 10-year auction reading that it didn't go very well. It didn't go very well. So there's that. Oil continues to just be, oh my gosh. Yesterday they did recover though. Gold going nowhere. What's wrong with you, gold? I don't understand. Well, I've kind of been saying, well, gold might not necessarily be the best short-term play, but I expected it to do more than that. Come on. And copper is still kind of being kind of flaky as well. So they're not quite sure which way they're going to go. Probably at the moment, oil is probably our best leading indicator of where the economy is going. But yeah, good morning. There's bots. By the way, that reminds me. How have things been going for you? Everything going good? Had a pretty yeah, okay. Anyways, typo in the stream. Oh, it's not the 8th. You're right. It's the 10th. Okay, let's fix that. We got about 20 seconds here. Oh, we'll start the text to speech. Oh, wait, I already did that. Okay, cool. So now we got all that going. I'm going to leave the 6E up here. Well, I actually don't know what I'm going to do. I have all this stuff that I put on the second screen. I don't know where to put it. Okay, so the number is 884. Slightly higher than expected. Continuing claims also slightly higher than expected by a good clip. Market doesn't seem to be reacting to it too much. I'm going to try a simulated short here. There we go.
Winston's mom says good morning, speculator Seth. Hi, bots. I am glad to see you did not blow away.
Yeah. I mean, it was close at several points. Hold on, the squawk is still talking. Yeah, so I tell you what, we had gusts up to 90 miles an hour apparently, and but the thing was is that wasn't too long after the stream, I went out there and it actually pretty much had calmed down. And everybody was outside. Like, oh my gosh, the dad army in Utah is just pretty crazy, right? And we everybody was chomping at the bit to pull out the chainsaws and get started to things. And I mean, it was a disaster. It was a disaster. Oh, we should be careful. We have the ECB press conference right now. Actually, since I got the 20, I should probably be taking that, huh? Oh no. All right. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, anyways, well, we were out, everybody was chomping at the bit to just get outside and like pull out the chainsaws and start cutting down the trees because there was, I mean, oh my gosh. Like, there was not a street in the city that, well, in Centerville where I live, there was not a street in the town that didn't have an uprooted tree. It was insane. And so everybody's getting out there to start chainsawing because it's like it's gone. It's not there anymore, right? And then what would happen is like freak gusts would come out of nowhere. Like, whoo. So I had a neighbor, and he was we were trying to cut a limb out of a tree because it was pretty bad up there and we were worried about it going into a house. So he's on the ladder. It's fine. It's like it's nice. It's sunny outside. There's no wind anymore. He's on the ladder, and this huge gust of wind comes out of nowhere, man. Like, I really thought he was gonna die. Like, I was thinking through my head. He was like, he's gonna fall here. He was really high up on a ladder. He is going to die, but he didn't die. He did. So I kind of felt like I almost got blown away a couple of times. And it was like I was out there and there was one gust that came out and there was still debris in the street and I got pelted by all the air hurt. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy windstorm. And then of course we didn't get power until 10 o'clock last night. Can you believe that? So almost 2 full days, no power. Everybody was like going to the stores actually had power. Everybody trying to get ice for their refrigerators and stuff, trying to save what they could. It was bad, but my property didn't really suffer any severe damage. The bunny cage, we pulled the bunny out, and then after we pulled the bunny out, the wind destroyed the bunny cage. So we're gonna have to get a new bunny cage. But other than that, no harm done. The next door neighbor lost huge limbs off of their tree. And another neighbor down the street had a tree fall on their house. But overall, okay. So 6E moving up. You know what? We should switch contracts here. I mean, the liquidity in the back month is pretty much like non-existent. So let's roll everything over. I can see though ECB President Lagarde is speaking right now. The rebound is broadly in line with previous expectations. I will agree there is no need to overreact to euro gains. Inflation is dampened by lower energy prices.
Winston's mom says, the dad army, I think that sounds nice. The dads I knew were all in the computer business and would have no idea how to run a chainsaw. Utah dads are probably very useful.
Well, I think that all of these guys around here, they're not all in the computer business, but they're all white collar jobs. Yeah, but they had chainsaws. The guy that lives next door to me, he is a singing instructor, and he had a chainsaw. I was like, wow, we're the last person that I would have expected to have a chainsaw. He had one. He made use of it. He had a tree in his backyard. Oh, it was a really nice tree. Really nice looking wood. It was just demolished, man. That tree was just, there was nothing left of it. And he has his yard is like really tight in there because they're building something in their driveway. So they had to we had to cut it up and throw it over the fence. Actually, when we stopped, we were working on it a little bit, and then we had to stop because the wind picked back up. I don't know if he finished that or not.
Winston's mom says the military men I knew were useful, but they usually weren't around when chainsaws were required. Lol.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so now that we've flipped over, come over here. Should get the new December contract. Yes, sir. December. And this time, let's not screw it up by selecting the wrong one, huh? This one is yes. Okay. Oop, that's not the one that we wanted. Should be ES 1220. There we go. We got off sync again. So hold on, let me just fix the data here. Donald Trump says Governor Cuomo has completely lost control. Sad. So they're still talking about the Forex rate over there in the euro. There we go. Okay, so probably given the liquidity that I'm seeing here in the December contract in the micros, I'm not so sure that we can be taking trades in here. So it does look like people are still on the back one. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay.
Winston's mom says, what did you think of the Woodward book and the taped phone calls? I understand the admin was not aware Trump was speaking to Woodward after hours.
Yeah, was a little perplexed as to why he was speaking to him in the first place like this. Because this is a guy that has kind of how do we say, embellished things in the past. It is somebody that I would have thought that Donald Trump would have been extremely distrustful of, right? The other thing that I find really interesting about this, well, not interesting, but here's how I would read it. Okay, when Labor Day is passed, the political machines gear up, and I mean the propaganda machines. It's really just insane the level that they work at, right? And when you look at the Woodward thing, I mean, it's hard to say if it's like coordinated or not, because they could certainly just all be on the same page regardless of whether or not it's coordinated. But it comes out and they're all in on it, right? Like that is literally all that Reddit r/politics talked about yesterday was that story. So I didn't get to read into it too much, but because it was such a big deal, I feel like I got a pretty good gist of what was being said. Sunday Driver says Republicans should never speak to Woodward. Right. They said this morning on one of the morning shows that Trump felt like after the first book, he could control the narrative by offering exposure to Trump himself. I don't know. But the thing is that I don't feel like so I think here again, I think that the media is kind of exaggerating what was said or what happened, right? So the headline was that Donald Trump downplayed the threat of coronavirus, right? That's basically the gist of what they're saying. And I mean, hasn't that been the story for the past like 6 months now? I mean, come on, guy. The Democrats people have been accusing him. I don't want to say just Democrats. People have been accusing Donald Trump of doing that since day one of this whole thing, right? So this whole narrative that's coming out that like, oh, Donald Trump lied to us and misrepresented the seriousness of the, I just think is so, it's like, where have you guys been? Like, especially since I think the time that they're talking about was when it wasn't here in the United States, right? So that they're jumping on it this way is kind of funny, but like I said, it's after Labor Day. It's after Labor Day. And it wasn't just that story, right? Because what did we have earlier in the week? We had this story that what was it? Oh, can't even remember now. Filtered water tastes good. Man, how come I can't remember now? What was the other story that they had earlier in the week? Well, I can't remember. Maybe it was like downplaying Russia stuff. Anyways, the whole thing was is that um that was all they was talking about, and it was like something that happened months ago. It was something that happened months ago, and why didn't they report on it months ago? Well, they were saying they were accusing him of it months ago, but they didn't really have any kind of story to really go on. And then this story comes out, and it's like, yeah, they save it for the election. And the Democrats are way more into that than the Republicans are. Like, seriously, because they have the media machine to do it, right? So Republicans will do it too. But Republicans don't really get into it until like late October, right? They want to ambush you right at the very end. Whereas Democrats, they're all about trying to control the narrative every step of the way. So that's really what's going on, I think. Salim says I did not know I am not supposed to post music. Well, they can if you're a moderator, you can post links. That's why he's able to do that. Anyways, the thing is that it'll be interesting to see what they try to do in October from the Democrats, because they are all about it seems like that it is all just attack Donald Trump on character issue after character issue, right? ECB sees 2021 inflation at 1% versus 1.3% seen in June. Nope. Then it says 22 at 1.3% versus 1.3% seen in June. Well, I guess LaGuardia's talking a lot. It's definitely affecting the dollar here. But I don't know if really we get too many good opportunities here. It looks like that trade went down and then we got out and they've gone higher since then.
Ace Trades says glad you are back.
Oh, thank you. I assume no damage down by you, right? You guys down in Provo, I would be concerned. I would be concerned because Provo kind of missed out on the earthquake, kind of missed out on the pseudo hurricane. Like, something's going to happen over there, right? Be prepared. Be prepared, my friend. Because I'm just saying. Donald Trump tweets Kim Jong-un is in good health. Never underestimate him. Apostrophe. What the heck? Salim asks, what happened? Where have you been, Salim? We were talking about it last stream, right? We had there was a cyclone, not a cyclone. What do they call it? I know. A winter storm that rotates counterclockwise. And as it was rotating across the mountains, that cold air gets pushed up. And then when it comes out off of the mountains, it just, and so you get really strong winds. So we had 90-mile-an-hour winds in my city. Is gold up now? Well, that doesn't surprise me. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't surprise me. We were kind of talking when in the early thing. I was like, gold has been really disappointing lately, hasn't it? There we go. Oh yeah, it is up. Gold's up there. Bitcoin's still kind of hovering around that 10K. It's a 6E E-mini up to buyer's cost basis, I guess. Possibility of a bounce here, but because LaGuard is speaking, he says nope, nothing but a few leaves.
Winston's mom says I am glad you are safe. Ace Trades. How is your family?
Should scroll down here on Twitter, see what I've missed. Downside risks have intensified, confirms the ECB dovish tilt. If you don't hear this line today, the Euro FX will go bid and retest 1.2. Oh, well, they're kind of going up there and testing it anyways, right? Here Brannigan Barrett pointing out something I've been concerned about for a while. Japan, Switzerland, and the ECB are all updating that while risks are tilted to the downside, the recovery is happening faster than their expectations. This poses massive risks to yields. Consensus positioning is long bonds and long equities. He's right. If the treasuries come down here, and you note that since she's been speaking, they have been coming down. If they come down significantly, then there's going to be some massive disruptions to the rest of the markets.
Sunday Driver says time to short City.
Why
Ace
City?
Trades says win. Everyone is doing great. Salim L. Weathering says Ninja froze on my exit. Please criticize my 30-second trade on my YouTube channel on the open yesterday. Got stop out once.
Really? Oh. That's okay. That happens. What's Gary Norton was saying 6 hours ago? Some people on here will tell you to never give up on trading. They say only losers give up. I say if trading causes you mental grief, then it's fine to stop. Don't believe the BS
Ace
that everyone
Trades
else
says,
is
did
making
everyone
money.
roll over already?
And you're the only one who isn't. The large majority are losing. I rolled. But having rolled, I'm not too impressed with what I see. It looks like the majority of the volume of the liquidity is still in the old month. But that probably changes when the open comes, right? I think now that we've seen this move, well, this move's not over, but at some point it's going to become, you're going to have to wait for the open because they're not going to want to do anything while LaGuard is speaking. Gary Norton just talking about don't trade if it's bad for your health. I wonder what he ran into. Said this. Lots of experts on hedging short gamma and the options market making how many have done one, let alone both. In the context of the tech call buying, this is a complex topic. There can be multiple ways to hedge and manage risk. Don't accept simplistic explanations at face value. And yes, I have both hedged short gamma and spent many years as an options and derivatives market maker. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for nothing because you didn't tell us how it's more complicated than what people are saying. Whew. Okay. I have to say something that I think that Gary Norton is touching on there that I continue to try and highlight is that so many traders I think are stuck on using methods that frankly don't work. And as a result, what they're doing is kind of random. Their results are random. And so they realize that it doesn't really matter what they're thinking, like what they're doing strategy wise. And so that's why they start to trend towards this mental game theory. So they can't accept that the technicals just aren't reliable on short time frames. And so they think it must be a problem with me. And so that's why you get all of these traders talking about the mental game. But I think that you can have the strongest mental game possible. And if you're using a strategy that doesn't work, then it's simply not going to work, right? And I think that's where Gary's getting in is like, you can't just sit down and say, focus your mind harder and it'll work out for you.
0.70% and 0.53%. Until it breaks out of this tight range, it's a junk trade.
Yeah. Well, let's come back here. Man, it's hard for me to get the right chart. You look at the 10-year. So, like, the 10-year has been kind of stuck in this area for a while, but, I mean, look, it wouldn't take much, right? At the moment, it wouldn't take much for the alarms to sound. I kind of suspect, though, I mean, the issue is that say the equities turn back down again, right?
Salim L. Weathering says trading is 0% psychology, 0% TA, and 100% order book.
Well, I don't agree with that either. But, I mean, let's just say that we come up here and then bounce back down today, right? Then I would assume that the treasuries would move back up, right? But what if they don't?
Weathering says AHAHHAH.
What if they start moving up into here? What if they go for new highs? How can the treasuries hold these levels? I don't think they can. So, yeah. Well, and now Gary's talking about the spreads. So that's another interesting thing is that the spreads have been kind of unusual lately. So here, at least today, the 2s and 10s are steepening, but that one's been, there's not like a real clear direction here in the 2s and 10s at the moment, right? There has been a lot of flattening though lately. But that's not the same picture that you get when you look at the CB, right? Kind of similar, but it's a different chart. So I'm noticing that there is something going on with the 2s and 10s in particular, it seems, which actually is more common than I would have thought. But that's kind of what I've been learning is the 2s and 10s spread is actually particularly important and trades differently from the others. Here's the 5 and the 10. Notice that it's mostly just noise still. But you're right. I think we need to keep an eye on the Treasury complex because, like I said, if they start to push down and those rates rise on us, it's gonna because the market is just so positioned. You know, the positioning is just so strong. It would really mess a lot of people up. Oh, good morning, Lobo Trader. How are you? Should post here. Oh, hold on. So let's check what we got going on in Discord that I've missed. He has something that is this guy. This drives me nuts. Sometimes people will come into chat and they're expecting somebody to just like hold their hand in the moment, and a lot of the time people just can't do that, right? Like, if you have a question, go into chat, post the question, and expect that you might not get a response for a day sometimes, especially if it's like a technical question. Oh, geez, Sunday driver. That's why you want a short city? All right, well, whatever.
Gary Rich says when those two spreads steep and tops the markets soon to follow. Peak to trough analysis.
Yeah. They're not quite there yet, are they? I mean, they have done some steepening. They've done some flattening. This day right here, though, when the Treasury came down really hard on, what was it, the 4th? Right? When the E-mini was taking the second day of plunge. Yeah, it steepened quite a bit that day. Donald Trump is on the tweet. New Mexico will only be great with President Trump. We will win. Ooh. That's actually a really potent attack. Governor Luan Gershom glossed over her business-shattering lockdown and energy plan that would cripple our state's economy in her DNC speech, showing yet again that her priorities are her own political future, not on New Mexico. Traders, ECB President Lagarde's comment on the past euro's rise triggered a jump in the currency. Do you think that move in the euro will come back? Well, the dollar's below 93. And I guess the equities like that, but I don't know. Oh, Wolfgang. So you were asking a question in Discord in this regards, how much is simple technical analysis still valid? Meaning, if I look at the S&P or RTY on a daily, are they printing low, high, low, low? Should we trade short and sell the highs? No way. It's no way. I have to say that particular bit of technical analysis in particular, that like if you got a higher low or a higher high or whatever it is that you should, expect it to move up. That's just, it doesn't work that way at all. The studies that I've done make me wonder if that ever was actually valid. But yeah, what I've found is that technical analysis on a short-term time frame, that there's all these robots trying to arbitrage that stuff out, and so you really don't get a consistent alpha out of that. So that's why I always primarily rely on the news. In fact, I think the place where the kind of trade that I'm looking for is kind of this situation where news that just comes out and validates a technical signal. Those tend to be the best trades. So, does that make sense? I rely primarily on my news and my analysis of the flow. Now, you'll have a lot of people that will tell you, yeah, like the news, it doesn't work, it's not predictive. And I believe the people that are saying that are having problems because their analysis isn't sophisticated enough. So you have to factor in what the expectation is, how significant of a piece of news it is, what the market positioning before the news actually was, how it affects related markets. Just like right here with LaGuard, it seems that some people are confused as to why the 6E is moving the way that it is, or why the euro is moving the way that it is. But once you realize that it had to do with what people's expectations were, then it makes a lot more sense, right?
Live Action says Trump's been doing great lately. He even won a pizza pie.
What?
Gary Rich says Lagarde is talking down the euro. Strengthening euro is bad for Germany.
Yeah,
Live Action says yes, makes their goods too expensive for export. Live Action says at Gary, I am not sure how to evaluate the spread in the notes for market direction. What is doing what?
So you just use the spread indicator that we've got on, I think it's there in the downloads channel. Yeah, so it seems to me she was saying that, we're not too concerned about it right now. And that wasn't what the market wanted to hear. And the dollar taking a hit like that is apparently really good for equities. Oh, here's Donald Trump. Bob Woodward had my quotes for many months. If he thought they were so bad or dangerous, why didn't he immediately report them in an effort to save lives? Didn't he have an obligation to do so? No, because he knew they were good and proper answers. Calm, no panic. That's Donald Trump's response. I mean, that was kind of what I said, was like, why did he wait? But I was only making the point that there's going to be a lot of political propaganda out here. Is that a response from Donald Trump that is going to really calm things down? No, it's not. Because the Democrat media is going to come out and they're going to say, you see, he admits it. He admits that he lied to the American public. How can we have leaders that lie to the American public? That's what they're going to say. It's gonna happen, right? I'm just waiting. How many seconds will it take for the Democrat leaders to come out and start hacking on that one? I haven't gotten much from the ECB press conference in a bit. It is not wise for me to prejudge what strategy deliberations will be. Yes, that's because you don't have a clue what's going on. German Finance Minister Schultz, the government is doing everything possible so that Germany comes out of the crisis well and with vigor. I am spamming. You better not be spamming my Discord. We could check you out later. Oh, there you are. Yeah. Well, I'll give you the regulars permission. But you better not. If you start posting multiple messages, they will take care of it. View it from a line chart, not candles. I have a way to view it both ways. But I mean, it should. There are some issues with doing it with candles, right? Post March. Oh, you're looking like way further back though, dude. from this view that we're seeing the past like 3 months. There's kind of been a gradual flattening, a bit of a steepening, uncertain. But I'm sure that if it starts to happen, we'll see it very clearly here, right? Let's see here. It looks like that the buyers really bought a lot up there and trying to hold it, but I don't know. Probably this is going to be a little screwy. I think that I'm just going to wait and not take any trades maybe until next week. Not any live trades, at least. Maybe we'll won't be able to resist the temptation and we'll try taking one. I'm thinking that probably it's going to be a difficult read for me at the moment with the rollover. It wasn't too bad when we watched that in the treasuries, but I don't know. It seems like the rollovers in the equities is a lot more difficult to navigate. Wonder if we can see if there's anything I can do about my monitor. I don't have my monitor. Now would be a good time to try and look at that, huh? See if there's a way to just fix it. It's part of intermarket analysis, not intramarket analysis. Okay. My monitor, so they're saying that my monitor could be a power issue, but that the electronics on it must be damaged. Well, let's go searching out there, see if we find anything new. Don't want a curved one. Some people are really asking way too much for a monitor. No. Super frustrated by all this. May just have to go with without the third monitor for a few days. Maybe actually for a week or two. That's okay, I guess. But I mean, it's not the end of the world.
Salim L. Wuthering says I am getting an Omen laptop i9 144Hz on my first trading pay.
Why a laptop? I don't understand why people always go for the laptop. You get so much more bang with a desktop. Oh, Fidelity is getting IPOs now.
Winston's mom says 33 watching now. Please take a second to hit the like button and speculators. It's Traders Gonna Trade. Mugs are now available for sale in the lobby. Thanks.
Oh.
Sunday driver says no fingerless gloves.
Lobo Trader says just hit it at Winston's mom's slightly smiling face. Salim L. Wuthering says I want to be trading from the beach with ice-cold orange juice on my left
You
hand.
haven't watched my video, have I? I addressed that exact thing. Man, think about it. Wait. You're on the beach. It's nice weather, calm waves. You're on vacation. You're relaxing. And you want to ruin that with trading? Come on. Trading is stressful. You go on vacation to get away from trading. Why would you want to take that with you on vacation? No. And plus, if you're not like really, it's like you want to minimize factors, right? You don't want one of the factors that could be affecting your trading be your environment, right? So I wouldn't be trading anywhere other than at my desk at home. True, I am sick in the head, right? No, you don't want to do that. This idea of trading in the Bahamas, it's like it's a lie created by people trying to sell you things. 33 viewers now. That's pretty standard. Actually, it's a little high for this time of day. But we've been regularly getting up into the 40-50 range lately. And now that summer's over, it's always a lot less in this summer. Yeah, we have been doing good. I think we need to make a new video. I'm kind of torn on what I want to make next. I want to make one for outside, but the weather just hasn't been good. Like with all the fires and everything, it just looks disgusting outside. My friend is a pro trader and he trades off his laptop all over the world. Yeah, it's just. The other thing is with like the kind of like scalping with like order flow and all that. I just can't see doing that from a laptop. But I mean, they can handle it if the right kind of laptop and you turn off the power saving settings. You can certainly get it done, but it's just you're just not going to get as good of a machine. I remember the average being 10. Yeah. Well, it was always, I don't know. It seems to me that we were always at least a dozen, yeah. And we got to like 2 dozen pretty quickly too. The thing that I find really interesting is that the number of people that watch the live streams stays remarkably consistent. There's a group of about 2 to 3 dozen that tune in every day, and then YouTube will recommend like 10. And we get the numbers that we get. But the other videos, the views, it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up, and it's starting to get crazy. This one video, the video about the trading computer hardware, which is by far my most popular video now, it's getting tons. I get more views on that per day than I get on the stream now. Oops. Let's pull over here. So, and YouTube has kind of given us some additional features. So I'm hoping that we can maybe make some use of them, but we got those emojis. So for $1 a month, if you click the join channel for $1 a month, you get the Seth panic emoji. You can I also added the Seth panic emoji to Discord, and I've noticed that a lot of people have been watching that on Discord. Oh yeah.
Stickball says yeah, I've recommended that video myself to some people I know.
Lois is just hit it when that was funny. What was I saying? Oh yeah, let's go look at the analytics for it. Like so. Oh man, yeah, the views drop off if I don't stream though. Relies on the stream. Well, I kind of wonder if YouTube, you know, bases what it's going to recommend to people based on how your other video, like it says, okay, well, we'll pick like 2 videos from this guy's channel that we'll promote. I'm noticing the David Portnoy one has actually had more lasting traffic than I thought. The Dom scalping one is starting to do okay too. That's the one that I really wanted to do. Because that's kind of what we've always been about is the Dom. So I really wanted to get that one through. How many referrals do you get from Ladix? It doesn't tell me stuff like that. But yeah, like I would get like 200 views from the live stream, and that Trading Computer Hardware is getting 200 views a day now. So, pretty cool. But I think there's some other keywords that I want to go after. Like I want to go after technical analysis. It's just that, like, I don't know, with what I've got right now, I don't know if people will like what I show them. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be better if it was like I showed them, oh, it's kind of profitable, but not really, to give them some kind of hope. But instead, the video is just going to be like, well, here's technical analysis. Here's why you should potentially use it. And here's why it's really just does not work at all. Might hit 100,000 views. Maybe. Well, let's go look at the analytics for that video specifically. It has had 10,000 views. Oh yeah. The funny thing is that when I put that one out, it wasn't performing quite the way that I wanted. And it's individual metrics. So the impressions click-through rate is like 7.8. I have some videos that are 10% click-through rate. I have some videos that have like 60% watch time. But there are that many people right now searching for trading computer stuff. And that's why it's getting so many views. So that's why I'm like, well, I really probably need to make a video about technical analysis. Because that's what people are going to be searching for, you know?
Lobo Trader says we are doing relatively okay here in EU and especially in Germany. Low levels of the virus and it appears we can keep it under control now. At Winston's mom. Lobo Trader says people yet are fed up with social distance and related, especially the youth. At Winston's
Yeah, I
mom.
think so too. I think a lot of people are starting, with school having started up again, I'm noticing that people are really getting fed up with that. So like, there was one school, I was talking to somebody that they go to school down in Provo area. And there was a kid that had to get their wisdom teeth out. And that required them to take a test first. And they tested positive, which, as we all know, you can test positive when you don't really have it. Like they're saying that like half of the time it's like a false positive or something. And so they tested positive, and they had to go through everybody that was anywhere close to them in the past week had to be quarantined for 2 weeks. So it has become an unspoken rule now that you just don't get tested. Unless it is like life-threatening, you just don't get tested. Because it impacts everybody around you. Avoiding testing at all costs. Yeah. It's getting pretty crazy. So that I do feel like that, especially here in Utah, we've been opened up for a long time, and that people are really viewing it as an unnecessary inconvenience now.
Winston's
my
mom
read.
says Lobo Trader, I see the same boredom with social distancing here. When I watch the live cams, very few people are wearing a mask.
Also attracting a little bit younger of an audience nowadays.
Winston's mom says Salim El Wuthering, Texas is a big place and the people are nice. I like ribs. Each state has their own style of ribs. North Carolina is all about the vinegar. Texas ribs are big, of course. Lobo Trader says at Winston's mom, people do not understand, they also risk other people's life. My wife and myself stay at home as much as possible, therefore, we are at high risk. Uzi Knesset says that's why they had to make COVID a social issue. Can't get people to obey these days without massive pressure from social media contacts. Live Action says here's a tip on avoiding a false breakout. Be careful of trades going into a kill zone, where there was prior interest. You can see these with technical analysis.
Yeah, you're right, Uzi. It's very much they had to go into well, if you don't wear a mask and all of this, that you're a bad person. I never understood the anti-mask thing is so silly. I mean, at this point they've done studies on, have somebody with a cold and sneeze with it. I mean, I just
Salim
don't
El Wuthering
understand why
says at
that's
Winston's mom, I can travel anywhere for juicy meats. Uzi Knesset says COVID went from, here's how to avoid being sick, to, good people versus bad people.
right. It really is kind of
Stick Bal
ridiculous
says buy a
before.
bubble.
But I don't understand why Trump supporters went the way that they went. I mean, like Donald Trump has been telling them to wear a mask. It's like they developed this thing on their own, and I don't feel like
Winston's mom says Uzi Knesset,
organic.
I was honestly surprised at everyone's response to their freedom being curtailed. The
Yeah.
introverts like myself are perfectly happy and like this new normal of social distancing. Lobo Trader says agree, Uzi.
When this first started to show up on the Donald, I was really surprised that they were going anti-mask direction. And I kind of wonder if it was like, foreign propaganda that started it, because it made no logical sense at all. And then the Democrats picked up on it.
I'm an introvert, and while I like being inside and away from people, I don't like tyranny and manipulation.
Yeah. But the thing is that they went. I feel like that Democrats went the way they did because of the way that the Republicans were, right? Now, then Republicans were all, oh, we don't want to wear masks. So then Democrats were like, well, we're going to force you to wear masks. Oh my gosh. And so then you had these people, making those laws that you have to wear the mask or you'll get cited, which is probably the dumbest thing you can do if you want people to wear it, right? The whole thing, I think is so silly.
Winston's mom says my cousins live in Jupiter FL and they support Trump. After the big boat parade and the rally, I am curious to see if anyone I know gets COVID from the Trump trip there.
Oh, I don't know. Remember when there was
Salim
the big
El
deal
Wuthering
about...
says, see, the thing is anti-maskers are also introverted, they rarely go out. They stay in caves, lone wolves.
Remember when Donald Trump first started having rallies and they were all, oh, how can you have a rally that could be spreading coronavirus? But then they've been having these street protests and people are saying, oh, that could be a result of the increase in cases. Well, we haven't seen an increase in deaths either way, have we? I'm still of the opinion that it doesn't matter. I think the only thing that matters is how you protect your vulnerable population. What you do in the nursing homes, that's what matters.
Uzi Knesset says, remember, only Trump support spreads COVID.
Oh, man. Now, on that note, have you guys been looking at the polling lately? Let's go check the polling a little bit, because I've been seeing some really bizarre stuff from the polling. Donald Trump had basically gotten equal on Biden again. Oh, no, they split back out. They have been following the polls. It looks like things came back in together, and then It went back apart, I guess. Now they're only giving Biden 58% chance now.
Stick Bell says trading live yet again, Seth.
Probably not today, because of the rollover is part of it. Plus, I was just out for 2 days, so I think I'll kind of want to let everything calm down a little bit. Let's see here really quickly. Let's grab the link for this guy in Discord. There we go.
Salim El Weathering says Europa and Morocco. We are starting to hear people we know are falling dead from COVID. We didn't expect the second wave and underestimated this stuff. Uzi Knesset says Operation Red Mirage bro. Trump will seem to
Red
win on
Mirage.
election night. Weeks of mail-in ballots heavily skewed towards Biden will tip the election. Bet on it.
So there's been this whole thing about that Democrats are planning on a coup sort of a thing. I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the case. I will go out on a limb here and say something. The reputation of mail-in balloting has been so damaged, even on the Democrat side, because you continue to see stories about the post office, like mail just being left in the dumpster, and like the Democrats think that the post office is out to get them right now. You're gonna go and entrust your ballot to mail-in voting at that point. So I don't think that mail-in balloting is going to be as big of a factor as people think. I believe that the majority of people will vote on election day, and that the mail-in voting probably won't be a huge factor. But there could be a place where it's just really tight, right? But that's where the other issue is that if it's tight, it favors Donald Trump, right? Like if Joe Biden wins, he's just going to run away with it. Yeah. Yeah, now this is just bothers
Uzi
me so
Knesset
much.
says it'll be like our last gubernatorial race here in FL. They were finding boxes of ballots for the Democrat in random car trunks.
That is just such BS, right? And with the mail-in ballots are way easier to duplicate, you know? Well, that's interesting. They actually have bets on how the electoral vote will come out. Dems by 100 to 149. Well, they're definitely playing the stats, because I think that's almost exactly what Nate Silver's model comes out to, right? I kind of hate the way that they do these, because what they're doing is they're doing all of the possible permutations of states and then seeing how likely the individual cases are, and I don't think that actually gives you an accurate representation. This whole 90% chance or whatever, I think is really nonsense. They put North Carolina in Democrat right now, and Florida, and no, he's not gonna. I could be wrong, but I don't think that Biden is gonna win Florida. This is stacked, because we've seen poll after poll after poll in Florida showing quite strong support for Donald Trump, particularly among Latinos. I think that when you kind of include the shy vote and everything else like that, there's no way they're going to take Florida. Arizona, though, I don't think that Donald Trump will win Arizona. It doesn't look like at the moment that they will. But these kind of might be, I might rearrange these because I think that some of these states, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, probably more likely to go than Pennsylvania. Anyways.
Live Action says I don't take anything for granted after seeing some of these idiots get elected. Uzi Knesset says to keep their economies crushed for as long as possible, weighted by the big cities.
So here's something that I've been thinking about. The big cities have been losing people, right? Like in droves. Right after the census was taken. Do you notice that? So in 10 years from now, when they take the census again, are the Democrats going to take a huge hit?
Live Action says the guy at my gun store said after the recent sales he can't see how Trump can lose.
Well, who knows? Okay, so I'm still not seeing a lot of liquidity in the front month here, even though the E-mini has opened.
Vlad Stolyarov says AAII sentiment is bearish as in March.
I guess the old month is just still stronger. They haven't flipped over. I want to trade it today. But notice the micros.
Vlad
What
Stolyarov
happened to
says
micros?
yesterday I tried shorting top and failed to hold until end of day dump.
You would think that the guys on the micros would be the most anxious to. I don't know. I don't know. I've never understood the role in the E-mini. Why some people to choose the back month versus the front month. There may be no rhyme or reason to it.
Uzi Knesset says I love watching these rolled over contacts on the DOM with light volume. Really emphasizes how much movement is solely based on pulling and stacking.
Well, yeah, in the E-mini, you're right. I mean, one of the things that I'm kind
Vlad
of...
Stolyarov says TSLA 389.
Ooh, that's high. It's too high, frankly.
Vlad Stolyarov says it was nice angle buying yesterday and they gap it so much today.
I really don't see how Tesla can hold the price that it does long term, but you know what? They're gonna... How do I put it? You know, if we really did have a midterm top, does it come down 3 days in a row and then just immediately go back up to the highs again? I've never seen that before. Certainly seen V's, but like usually there's some
Gary
real
Rich
drama at
says
the
at
bottom.
live look at this. The homepage has good reports. Lots of stuff to analyze. Vlad Stolyarov says all this year. Vlad Stolyarov says I seen things that I haven't seen before.
Yeah. Well, you know, I saw somebody, the quote, they put it, I've been saying the same thing, but they put it in a way that really, that I think really makes it clear. And that is that if you're making decisions based off of interpreting past results, you're more likely to be wrong now because we have entered into an age of chaos where what happens next is very difficult to predict based on past information because the situation is so different. Well, Treasury's coming back. Micros seem to be doing a little better. Anyways, to the point that like how much of it is due to stacking and pulling, it's really true. You really can't completely understand why price is moving if you're not watching it on the DOM. Unfortunately, I don't think that a whole lot of that
says
is
DXY
predictive, but
92.78 to 0.5%.
I haven't found that stuff to be predictive, but it is probably the primary factor behind why it moves where it does, is if they where especially in the E-mini they choose to stack there or not.
Uzi Knesset says the only reason it isn't predictive is because it's happening in real time. It's changing constantly and there's no way for us to know why.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always the entrance of new participants is the thing that we really, from a technical perspective, you just can't know. You could use if
Uzi
you combine it
Knesset
with
says if I had
fundamentals,
to
you might
guess,
know.
it's just market makers running algos and doing favors for one another behind the scenes lol.
Oh, sure. And a lot of it's probably just noise.
Vlad Stolyarov says I want us to test 3440 and see if it rejects, but it might not even go there. Vlad Stolyarov says it's hard to judge direction.
At the moment, it still looks really
Uzi
confusing.
Knesset says,
Oh
you
my
lose the
gosh.
overnight session, I win the RTH session, PFFT.
Maybe. You know, I do see things from time to time, especially in the treasuries, that seem to suggest two market makers trying to avoid stepping on each other's toes. You know what I mean? Like, it'll do it in the treasury sometimes. Some guy will be trying to buy it, you know, and a sell comes in out of nowhere, and the guy that's trying to buy it will show stuff on the
Vlad
DOM.
Stolyarov says the overnight action is wild in futures.
Like, no, guys, I'm not messing with you. I really am trying to buy
Vlad Stolyarov
it.
says you think they fight each other.
And I mean, sometimes they will fight it out, and then that's some of the most confusing stuff, and some of the most exciting stuff. But more often than not, what I see happen is one guy just goes, "Oh, okay, I'll wait till you're done." That sort of thing definitely happens. Yeah, there's lots of things about the volume going on right now that make my read difficult. Let me blow my nose.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says I never seen you using Pitchfork. Don't you think it's really useful?
You mean the pitchfork drawing thing? No, I don't.
Vlad Stolyarov says they as scared as new people. Vlad Stolyarov says what I think happening in TSLA is there's still many trapped shorts from long time ago.
I don't know. I think that like I was saying, when you get a market top, do people immediately realize that it's a market top and then it just goes down to wherever the low is going to be? Like, usually not. Usually there's some sort of like panic at the top a little bit, And then there's the people come in and say, oh, yeah, no, everything's fine now. Tries to push up, fails to make a new high, comes back down, and then more people get concerned, right? And then the longer that goes on, the more and more people get concerned until pretty much everybody is bearish. And then we get the same thing the other direction, right? Takes time for people to change their opinions. And that's why I have found that at market bottoms in particular happen, you'll have like a whole week of just really insane action and big buys and big sells both directions for several days. Not a V. Like right now we're having a V. It's kind of weird. Because, that would suggest an almost instant change in sentiment. And I just don't think that's what's happening right now. Like if you were one of the guys that's saying, oh, the market's overvalued, that this is all just people playing with options, like does your view on that change because of what we're seeing today? I don't see why it would. You know what I mean? So probably you're getting a lot of guys that are trying to just dig it out. And these guys that have been doing what they've been doing in Tesla, they're waiting for it to continue to work. You know what I mean? But we'll see if the larger market analysts, really think that there could be further downside or not. But they might have to chop around first if that's what they're actually going to do. Bears just wait now, I think, for at least 50 to 60% retrace. Yeah. Anyways, to Mahdi's question earlier, I really don't find those drawing tools to be useful at all. Because you're just drawing a line you think you see, and why should the market respect your line? Somebody else sees that line? I don't know. Haven't found that to be effective. And the issue with drawing stuff is that I like so on the subreddit the other day. I think I'm gonna try and do this today. Somebody posted a strategy with EMAs. They're like, okay, when this EMA crosses over this EMA, you go long, and then when this one crosses this one, you exit. And I was like, well, that's probably not going to work. But like, I can go and back test it. So I'm going to go back test it, and we'll see exactly how it performs, right? But if it's something you have to draw, how do you back test that, right? You could teach the computer how to draw the line, but then, the human says, oh, it drew the wrong line. And then that just kind of gives you this fuzzy area where you can argue that it works or that it doesn't work without ever having to actually face the results, right? Something I think you will find is that we will set ourselves up in a way so that we never have to actually admit if something works or doesn't work. So we don't want to say that, I'm getting a little sleepiness. I don't know if you can tell in my eyes that I'm like going cross-eyed. The market, you're pointing out that the Dixie is a perfect reversal followed by confirmation. Perhaps. On a longer time frame, it certainly does. Well, if the euro strengthens to over 1.2, what effect does that have on the U.S. markets? Do we read that as a net positive? Well, the markets read that as inflation, inflation, buy all the things.
Vlad Stolyarov says I don't like yesterday's action. If was very tricky today, could be just inside day if it don't go up.
Well, it's hard for me to really judge. It seems like that in the first 15 minutes that it hasn't done much of anything. And I don't know how much of that is really to do with the rollover. Oh, Bob Woodward is going to be on Morning Joe Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. That is at the top of the hour. Oh, no, wait. No, that already happened. Well, it must be next Wednesday. Must be next Wednesday. When are futures rolling tomorrow? Well, Ninja Trader is giving the warning to move today. So today everybody's rolling, and then by tomorrow, probably will be rolled over by then. Scott Adams, obvious fake news. Once you learn the pattern of how they remove context, you can spot these easily. Acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf told a former aide to stop providing intelligence assessments on U.S. interference in the U.S. and to begin reporting on the Chinese and Iranian. I agree. I'm seeing a lot of stories that, like, to me, so I've been paying attention, and I kind of remember when there was all this stuff was going on that, like, it's not a big deal. ByteDance pleads with Washington for more time to sell TikTok as Beijing adds new obstacles. China just wants us to ban it, don't they? Because wasn't the deadline today? No, the deadline was the 15th. I think the deadline was the 15th. I don't remember. By the way, is it a weekend on this? No. It's a Tuesday. Well, that was a pretty good sell there. If they push below 3406, then maybe this could have some legs again. And then it's breaking. You want to try it? It's not really as safe. We're kind of in the spread at the moment. Definitely a lot more shorts taken here off of the open than longs. Oh, we do have news at the top of the hour, huh? Wholesale inventories. Grab the symbol and go to the Bloomberg site. You see a chart of it. Man, I was doing a lot of research yesterday about subscription websites because sometimes I just get to the point where I'm like, I want to read more. I want more analysis, and I'm just not getting it, you know? But then when I go into like the Bloomberg and the Financial Times and all of that, and I'm like, I don't think they really provide what I'm looking for. Yeah, what I want is zero hedge, but you pay for it. Well, that was a pretty good flush there, down to the 01. I'm bouncy today, man. I need to work out. Yes. Well, I mean, I did yard work yesterday. So it wasn't like I wasn't active, but I must be jittery because of that. Need to extra nerves. It's ready to go lift heavy. And look at the treasuries just hanging out up there. Really strong. And the euro is continuing to move. Well, they're not to the 1.2 yet, but that certainly looks like where they're headed, right? That was probably the trade of the day. Well, now it's inside day. They may yet go. I mean, that was some pretty significant movement by bears. Donald Trump tweeting, Democrats open the schools safely now. When schools are closed, let the money flow. Follow the child. Why should schools be paid when they're closed? They shouldn't. I agree with them, but I don't think that will convince too many people. When I was looking at the IPOs on Fidelity the other day, there was like none of them listed. And now all of a sudden there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's kind of weird. The only one I see there on that list, though, that I recognize is Unity Software. And to be honest, I'm just not super high on them. I don't know. It may actually be a good stock in the long run, but I think Unreal Engine is just 10 times better. Honestly. Of course, Epic is causing themselves tremendous amount of grief from their own stupidity, but the Unity software isn't as good. Spy bounced off the VWAP. Well, now they're back up again. Like I could short it, but at the moment, yeah, my flow, because where it's saying that you get stopped out at is way too close, which suggests to me that, again, there's volume split between two different contracts, and that's why it's not working. Now, on the split side of that, that's what I guess you should expect to have happen. So it's a good thing. It means that the indicator, it's more evidence that the indicator works the way that we think it does. I'll fall asleep. You look at me, I'm closing my eyes. What do I got to do? I've been sleeping. Well, I haven't been sleeping that much, but I shouldn't be tired right now, is I guess the gist of it. Pretty good at record. ZM, they're still talking about that stock? I've been hearing that symbol a lot lately for some reason. Is Cat Turd from Utah? Why is he talking about Donald Trump being more? Oh, he's talking about Romney. That's why. Romney's job approval rating climbs in Utah, according to new poll. Some of these I don't really understand. Like, do people's opinions of politicians change that often? Or is it that the people that they're asking really just have no clue what's going on? You know? I think it's probably more likely the latter. Okay, so you're getting a spot that you could potentially actually, let's try it for the heck of it. Damn it. Okay. For fun, we'll take a short there. See if they turn down. There's a big order showing up at 09 in the 10-year treasury. News Squawk says, can I get divorced via ECB sources? What? They finally changed their name from Rand Squawk. Okay, a couple of strong clicks there. Here comes the inventories. Worse than expected, minus 0.3 versus 0.1 expected. Not really reacting to that. I see some trades being taken, but I don't see like a reaction. A reaction. A little bit higher, in fact, there. So why? Well, if inventories are down more than expected, that's not necessarily bad. That might mean that more people are buying, right? People are buying more than they expected, and that's why their inventories are down. Well, that one's not working out too well, is it? I thought people buy because of Dave. He said pick a litter out of the bag and buy it. Yeah, he did. Yeah, they changed from Ransquawk to News Squawk. 1S. News Squawk. I mean, that's been their website for a while, but they finally changed the Twitter profile as well. Breathe. Maybe that'll keep me awake. I am just falling asleep, man. Yes, looks bullish on your vis. Yeah. I don't know. The vis is not really showing anything. It's a bunch of noise. Nah, you're full of shit, dude. It's not showing its noise. They are at a spot where there was some resistance before. So all I'm seeing is channel with some excitement. Yeah. Well, and like I said, our volume is just all sorts of jacked up because of the rollover. You say the limits are pulling away, but the stacking and pulling columns has been both directions. Was a bit of adding up there. For a moment here, you can see in the level 2 at the tops, there was these sorts of things. And there was this one when it turned down. So that was probably the guys trying to lean the other direction and then realizing it wasn't going and getting out. Yeah, here in this is a stacking and pulling column right here, right? It may be turning red. Ah. I hope I'm not putting you guys to sleep. I think that just the whole power being out and everything just has my system all sorts of messed up. need to pull up some charts here. Where is gold? Gold's still going up, huh? 1974. I mean, that was the best run that gold has had in a long time. So blue is pulling and red is stacking. No. It means that the red means that the stacking and pulling in aggregate is mostly happening on the offer versus the bid. I think that on this thing that blue still means that it's a buy and red means it's a sell. Well, like I said, these things are not reliable. They're fun and interesting to have, but they're not reliable, in my experience. Turn back down again. No orders went through there, so the sim didn't know that it could get in. No, that's not what you should see. Sleepy. Don't stop breathing, Seth. That's the problem. I'm going to stop breathing and then I'm just going to fall asleep. And the funny thing is that my legs are just like going off this whole time too. Do all these blue dots mean buy? Well, so that's a good point. So what they're saying is that in every case they're hitting into icebergs. I think that means that they traded on the bid, doesn't it? No. These aren't big though. Look, they're only like 294. It's showing us a lot of dots because there's just not a lot of volume going through on this contract. So we can't. I would just ignore those. Unless you get one that's really big compared to the rest. You need to be way bigger than that. Maybe we could switch it over to the other contract and see, but like there's not even any trades going through on the micros. Well, that's good. There's an okay move down, but back to balance again. For the moment, it seems like they're just kind of stuck. Man, it's been a long time since I felt this sleepy. I'm gonna go get a Pop Tart or something because I just shouldn't be this sleepy. Mm. Mm. Slim asks, I don't get it. Limits notwithstanding, all these blue dots mean buy. No, but you gotta understand that it's relative, right? It's saying that there was an iceberg that was relatively large compared to all of the other icebergs that we've seen. But because there's not a lot of volume going through here, it's telling us that there's a big iceberg is 300 contracts, which on the old contract was like, just your average level. So that's why it's trying to adjust for the liquidity, and it's just not doing a good job right now. Of course, maybe if we had the old contract up, maybe you would see some icebergs there and they were bigger on the other side. I don't know. I think Bookmap and Jigsaw are confused about order book trading. They want to impose their way of trading on the order book on the whole industry. Very biased. I don't know. I think that what you see in the order book is not as predictive as they have led people on to believe. It's useful. I think you want to have it. I think it's an essential tool, but it's not as predictive as they've led people to believe. Seems like I'm the wrong direction here. Overall, it does look like the buyers are winning battles, but it's pretty quiet. I don't know. I don't think that anything the tape is showing me really reliable. Japan's chief cabinet secretary, Suga. We will have to call for sales tax hike in the future, given that Japan cannot avoid a decline in the population. Introducing the sugar tax. The Shuga tax.
Plan B4 Trade says don't short a dull market. Not sure this is a dull market.
Yeah.
And yes, good morning, afternoon, Seth.
I kind of took a couple of for fun trades in my throwaway sim account, but you're right. Don't short a dull market. The problem is it might not be as dull as it appears to me over here, but the rollover is just causing a lot of difficult reads, I guess. See, that looked like a turn. Maybe they're going to stay in this range, I guess. When we've seen this kind of thing before, though, it'll be like it'll go nowhere, and then you'll get like this after the counter trend period, right? You'll get some freak up move out of nowhere, That's what it used to do back in the gamma squeeze up days. Over the last 3 trading sessions, more than 1 million Tesla calls traded a day, 50% above the average over the last 20 days. Close to 2.5 million Apple calls traded on the average each day during the sell-off, roughly double what's been typical in the last 20 days. So retail is definitely trying to buy the dip with calls. I don't know. Thing is if we have an up move, I think we could probably have a gradual up move. It could be strong. If we have a down move, I really see this like falling apart again. You know what I mean? That's why I was going for the shorts, I thought it could run. Seth is eating a Pop-Tart. If you're not an American who is familiar with our Pop-Tarts, they are a breakfast staple. My son likes the grape. Ew. No, these ones are cinnamon, I think. I think I intended to get a s'more one, though. I really shouldn't be eating this. This is junk. Too much sugar in this. I do seem a little bit more lively now, though, don't I? Can someone recommend a good order book for free training purposes? Well, you can't really get the order book data for free, unfortunately. Well, you can get it delayed. Like if you do trading technologies, you get delayed. But really what you're going to want to do is just open up an account and not trade it, And then you pay $30 a month, which is ridiculous, but whatever. All processed foods are junk. Yeah. Well, yeah. I tried to avoid the processed food. Anyways, no, there's quite a bit of iceberging there, apparently. Anyways, the best Damas is Jigsaw Day Trader, I think, and then followed closely by Trading Technologies and Sierra Charts. And I don't really know if anything's much more difficult. I thought 250 for data fees. No. Unless maybe you're a professional, but no. Right now it's $30 a month. You know that the fortunes to be made is not taking the gold and selling the spades. Why do you think trading software and feeds are so expensive? Well, I think that the cost that it has for the CME to actually give us this data has increased, as far as I can tell. Like they've been having to do a lot with infrastructure and stuff to keep up with the demand. It's kind of lame that they increased it from 15 to 30, but it is what it is. Why Trader says, yeah, I got to admit Jigsaw are far better than the others. Hogs are moving because China picked up hog buying. Ooh, very nice. Limit up. Well, there's a really big iceberg. Well, not a really big iceberg. I don't know. There's a couple of icebergs up in here at 34.11. Finally saw a bit more of an extended downturn there. Well, I guess I'm going to use CQG desktop. You know, the CQG one is not bad. It'll get the job done at least. I don't know. I really find it difficult to sit here and watch it without seeing how much it took to clear a price, you know? But I think the thing that really matters is the execution bits, the clicking on the DOM and how that works. And that's where I think Jigsaw really shines. How much do you pay for the CQG desktop? No, I think that if you're getting CQG data, that you can just plug CQG desktop into it for free. But the platform that they provide is like really basic and kind of archaic looking. Well, CQG is better than Rhythmic. Man, Rhythmic's R Trader is like, what the hell? Well, the thing is, almost every platform will give you a 2-week demo, so almost. Now that I've decided to go long, they want to go short? Salim's saying 5 Pop-Tarts and only 1 trade. I ate 2 Pop-Tarts. And I don't control whether or not there's a trade. Technically, I don't really feel like there's a trade here. In fact, today, I don't think that there's any trades for me because of the liquidity. So, I don't control that. Always dangerous. One of the things that I'll see newer people come in and do from time to time is like, why haven't you taken any trades? And it's like, well, if you just come in and you take trades because you feel like it, you're not going to be successful, right? You're expected 1 hour. Yeah. EIA is build. Pull oil up here. Put it over here for you guys. Okay, it's a pretty solid upturn. And at 06, I'm allowed to add. So I will do so. I like how you combine Pop-Tarts with water. Just go full ham and hydrate with Coca-Cola. Oh, no. I hate pop. It makes me sick usually. My stomach doesn't like it. That says 3410 to 3424. Yeah, see, I'm gonna have a hard time knowing what to do. I think that there's a good chance of a new high here, but they're already past my like stop out zone. So like, I'll take one off. It looks like a lot of foreign leaders and countries are having really concern about what is going on in the UK. That they're not going to have a deal. And then the EU countersuing and everything. I'm that representatives of Australia, Germany, Ireland, France, Lithuania, Japan, Canada, and New Zealand have been reaching out to senior Tories to ask what's going on and express surprise at the British government. I mean, did they have to get a deal? Oh, the Brexit does damage to my news squawk is just talking about that. This has damaged the trust between the EU and the UK. And I'm like, oh, that's what damaged the trust, huh? Because it has been. I got a cut here on my leg that I didn't know where it came from. Anyways, they've been going at it for months. And I'm kind of not surprised that it's coming out to no deal. Because the EU was just such a tough negotiator. It was like they were trying to punish them for leaving. So should we be surprised that the UK is just saying, well, screw you guys? The plan was never to have a deal. That was my forecast back in 2016 when the results came out. Yeah. Yeah, because such deals take years to negotiate, not months. Well, it's not just that plan B. It's like that. I mean, I'm not from over there, so I don't understand this very well. But the thing that I continue to feel confused about is that it's like, okay, the UK didn't like what the EU was doing, and that's why they left. And so then when they leave, the EU tries to impose those rules on them through a trade agreement anyways. Like, okay, what makes you think that they're going to accept them in a trade agreement when they just literally left you to get away from that stuff? You know? What? Makes no sense. I'm holding even on the treasures. No surprise they have been anemic lately. I don't know. I feel like the treasuries have been moving a lot, but that the action just seems really odd to me. Selling Apple now? I'm surprised that well, I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm kind of still sitting here like I just can't believe that Tesla can even hold a bid. Exactly. So leave the probability that the UK wants to have the cake and eat it, wants to be out but keep the benefits. Yeah. Well, but that's where I'm kind of like, why can't this is another thing where it's like, why can't you just have a good trade agreement? Because it doesn't seem to me like the issue is that they have fundamental disagreements over what should be done or something like that. It seems to me more like that the EU is sticking on certain points because they want to stick it to the UK for leaving. And if they actually gave the UK a fair deal, then everybody else would want to leave too, right? Like, what are actually the benefits, right? Because it kind of feels like they're coercing everybody to stay in. Like, let me put it this way: if being in the EU was such a great deal, they wouldn't have to be mean when you left, right? They could say, "All right, it's fine. We can still be friends, and we'll do everything that we can for you." But obviously, it's not going to be good as if you were in the EU. But instead, it's turned into, well, we're just going to make it as miserable for you out there as possible. You know? That's what it feels like to me. That's what, I don't know if that's what it really is in the policy, but when I hear the rhetoric over the news squawk, that's what it sounds like to me. Because the UK does not want to abide EU rules, which the EU asks any trade partner, UK or not. So have they asked these things of the US? Do they ask the United States to have rules over their fisheries? Like, of course you're US centric. Yes. We do? Okay, maybe the US just already has these laws. I don't know. This is the bigger problem, Plan B, for me, is that the stuff that they're arguing about, I don't get at all. They keep talking about fisheries is the one that I remember hearing a lot about. And I don't understand why that's a sticking point at all. It's like, okay, so like the thing that ends up killing a dill is fish? What? I don't get it. I don't have enough context at all. Any imported food to the EU needs to pass EU regulations. For example, means no chicken because the US chlorinates it. Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, well, I don't think that we export too much food to the EU. Our chicken is chlorinated? I'm going to have to look that up. Is all US chicken chlorinated? What's wrong with chlorinating your chicken? French President Macron is the EU's last hope. He, for sure, getting forced from the residency EU scared to get dismantled after Macron leaves. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, let's be honest. The EU is really Merkel's thing, right? U.S. food industry is totally unregulated. That's interesting that you say it. That you say that. Because people in the United States feel like that it's overregulated. At least people around here. That's funny. UK government legal opinion, the legislation which implements the withdrawal agreement, including the Northern Ireland Protocol, is expressly subject to the principle of parliamentary sovereignty. Some clauses in the Internal Markets Bill may be exercised in a way that is incompatible with provisions of the withdrawal agreement. Live action, be careful, 5-year increasing volatility, 6-tick move in the last 4 hours. The 5-year looks incredibly thick. You notice that the 10-year got pushed down, but not the others. Let's come back and look at the spreads really quick. Where's our spread start? Volume profile. Oh, come on. Ninja Trader just crashed like hardcore crashed. Oh my gosh. That was bad. I thought I just heard a cat. But... yeah, the EU is basically Germany, but symbolically it's France, because if France leaves the EU, it's done. Macron is a slave for the EU, worse than Joe Biden kind of sell his own children's style for money. Well, here's how I understand it. I always like to look at conflicts like this within the context of mercantilism. So in the United States, the way that it works is, or it used to be at least, that we were primarily exporters. So you had New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. And these were, everything else is periphery, right? Move this up here for now. So all of this stuff goes to Los Angeles, right? I guess Houston might count as kind of one too, but all of this stuff goes to Chicago. And then it goes over to, it comes through the canal and to New York, right? Everywhere else. So, this is the core, and this is the periphery, right? Really, this is kind of a periphery. This is kind of a periphery, right? That's always the way that it's been. Core tends to be where the manufacturing and shipping is, and periphery tends to be agricultural, right? So, how does it work in Europe? Reposition these to the primary monitor, please. Thank you. Does it still have my database flipped? No, it doesn't. Roll over. Roll over. Roll over. There we go. Oh no, they went down. The U.S. lovely U.S. diarchy, and you think it's a democracy? Oh, this just sounds exactly like what Euro people would say. I saw this thread on Reddit the other day where they were like, the United States ranks last in democracy or something like that. I always hate those articles because it's like, yeah, some metric that somebody created up out of their butt that, was probably intended to make the United States look bad because it was like, here are all of the things that the United States does that we don't like. Anyways, okay, so they're getting some selling here. Let's sell it. Oops. Okay, anyways. So my understanding about this is that Germany, this is where they manufacture stuff and they ship it out from here, or they ship it out from the Netherlands, right? And France, especially up in this area, is where all of the farming is, right? Is that not correct? Yes, and also is that France is a core of modernity, democracy, massive. Oh, you're right. You're right, because of Napoleon and all that stuff. Because they started the whole republic stuff. I see. So you're saying that if the France is kind of comes in and says, well, this is a dumb idea, then you have a hard time getting everybody else to stick with it. Because if France thinks that it's unjust, then because France is the freedom guys, right? Whereas Germany are the ones that we rely on to make stuff. Oh dear. Looks like I've already overstayed my welcome here on this. Darn. I see that gold is turning around here. The 60 is turning around here. Ooh, we're getting some crazy. And I didn't hear anything on the news squawk. The market must just be flipping out because I restarted Ninja Trader. I'm sorry, guys. It's my fault. It's my fault. Netherlands has the most advanced agriculture in the world? Okay. But the Netherlands, I always thought that the Netherlands was more known for being merchants, right? Like Amsterdam is like a huge port. A huge port city. What are the biggest ports in Europe? Of course, there's London. You can make fun of the USA, but I can think of a dozen countries which suck more. It's interesting. The thing that I always find interesting about when you look at the way that that European people look at the world versus the US people, the Europeans at least believe that their view is so much more nuanced and sophisticated, you know? London has no port. I thought it was came from here. I thought that everything came in here. Rotterdam, Antwerp, and Hamburg. Okay. Shows how much I know. There's Rotterdam. Rotterdam is a big one. Okay. Is Rotterdam a bigger port than Amsterdam, though? Really? Okay. I'll take your word for it, because I totally admit I don't know a whole lot about it. Now, I don't think that Denmark is like super huge. Antwerp. Okay, there you go. Antwerp, that makes sense. And then isn't there like Lisbon, maybe? I thought that Marseille was a big one over here in France, but I always thought of it as Berlin. I always thought of it as this was the core and this was all the periphery. And then there was the United Kingdom, which kind of had its own core, and so they weren't never interested in being a part of this whole thing. But the battle was always Germany was the core, and they were trying to bully France around. And then eventually, in modern times, they were able to get along, and France and Germany said, okay, fine. Our interests are the same, we'll be together. So they got together, and then they tried bullying all these guys. That's how I've always looked at it. Because that's always conflicts in the modern age. Almost always come down to an issue of core versus periphery. That's what's happening in the United States right now. Is you have these core states, which is primarily, I mean, seriously, where are the big Democrat bases, right? Right here. And right here. Notice anything about them? Oh, they're the major export ports, import ports, whatever, right? And where are all of the Republican states that are pissed off? Where they grow everything. Except for Illinois. Illinois somehow is immune. Because of Chicago. Because Chicago is its own little periphery. Okay. Can we draw it like that? Cool. It's always core versus periphery, guys. Even when you come back out here to this whole thing over here, Vietnam. Who fucking cares about this? Why would we care about this? The United States, other than that, I mean, like honestly, if communists take over the whole peninsula, which basically they did, was it the end of the world for us? No, it wasn't. Why did we care? Because it was our periphery. The reason why the people wanted us out was because they were viewed as a periphery. They were a colony. They were a French colony, right? It's always the periphery feeling like they're getting bullied by the core. Almost every time. Every war that you can look at in the last like 200 years, you could look at it as core versus periphery, right? American Civil War. What was it about? Core versus periphery. Right? And it's gonna be the same thing over here. In the long run, it's gonna be what? Core versus periphery. And frankly, they want to make this periphery too, but India's like, no, fuck you. You probably think Switzerland is cuckoo clock, Swiss Miss, and chocolate. The world has changed. No, when I think of Switzerland, I think of everybody has a gun and they're in the middle of the mountains. Sorry, where are they? They're somewhere over here. Switzerland. There you go. Switzerland. There's the mountains, and they can blow up everything if anybody tries to come in. Oh, and they have a really nice airport. That's all I've seen is their airport, but it was a really nice airport. Just saying. Of course, the winning side decides if they were core or periphery. No. So what makes it the core is that they will have the manufacturing and the trade ports. And the periphery is largely agricultural. Usually. It'll be agriculture or mining. That's what makes something periphery. Right? Now, you are right to an extent that the world is starting to become a bit more sophisticated, right? Because after globalization, the economy has become so complicated that you get mining and agriculture and manufacturing almost everywhere. But there's still very much turns into this. There's two groups, and the people that are the agricultural bases tend to have different interests from the people that are in the trading bases. Or now in the case of the United States, where the technology stuff comes from. Yes, Middle Kingdom in China. Uh-oh, swine fever hits Germany? Really? Wait, where? I don't see that. I'm wondering, I didn't see... There was definitely a piece of news that precipitated that sell off, and I just didn't catch what it was. I did make money on that first trade, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Now awaiting a statement from Barnier on the 8th round of trade talks following his meeting with Frost. Okay. So is the EU thing going to kill this market? Okay. So I am hearing this whole thing that not coming to an agreement is unacceptable and legally bad or something like that. Okay. Where am I getting? Why is that showing that as the low? That must just be because of when I reset it. The low of the overnight is actually at 64. Ooh, that's way back. That's way back there. Okay. Well, I think I can just kind of let this run. They're going to go for the low of the day there. They're so close. That low that I don't know why it's a low, but my DOM shows it as a low of some sort. Oof, stops. Oh, that was some stops. Oh my. Times and sells picked up really fast. Well, I'm just going to take the 100. I appreciate Seth's company and banter. I appreciate it. You know what, Plan B? I really like it when people come into chat and are able to effectively argue that I'm wrong about something. I really do. Because my whole take on this is that you want to understand as much about the market as possible. And if it's all just like you have one view and you understand everything, then you're never going to be successful because you just won't know where you're right and you're wrong. But the way that I think this channel has been so successful is that we're not afraid to have that discussion, and then we kind of collaborate and we kind of figure out the way that things are, you know? That's okay. In a decade, that part of the hemisphere will be owned by China. China on a hard asset buying free 2050 plan. Yeah, I'm really concerned about what's going on in China, to be honest. But like, so concerned that I'm learning Chinese just in case. No, I really want to. I really want to buy Chinese bonds. I do. I want to be able to read Chinese newspapers. I think that that's like 10 years away from getting to that point. But I'm still going through every other day learning. Okay, so we're getting some news here. This was the gasoline stocks. Well, it sounds like that was also a build. The downtrend continues. Absolutely, Seth, but I do struggle to understand U.S. views on politics. It's very bizarre from the outside. Well, yeah. I mean the first thing that you got to understand about the US politics is that it is not a parliament, right? So in other countries you have to you got a bunch of different parties and you have to put together a coalition and then you form a government and all of this stuff, right? That's not the way that it works in the United States. In the United States there's always a government, and every 4 years you have an election. There's two parties, and those two parties are basically always deadlocked against each other. The whole thing is basically set up so that the two parties have to really have some serious agreement, or one party has to have a really big advantage over the other one for anything to really get done. So that's the first thing that you got to understand about it, okay? The second thing that you have to understand about it is that the United States was founded basically to get away from taxes from the UK, right? So there's always been this thing about freedom and stuff, right? Well, can you really be a successful state in this day and age without federal payroll taxes of some kind? No, really you can't. So we kind of have this tendency to want to not have the taxes and everything else like that. But we have it since realized that we have to do it. So there's that dynamic. That's also a really big dynamic, right? And then there's the core versus periphery dynamic, right? So, now when it comes down to that, now once you take that framework, I think that you can understand most of the things that are going on in U.S. politics, right? There was a story that Donald Trump wasn't downplayed how severe the coronavirus was. Why are they doing that? Because they want to hurt Donald Trump's election chances, even though what he said wasn't really all that significant and wasn't really something that people hadn't accused him of before. It's not really a big revelation, but it's all Democrats versus Republicans, right? Core versus periphery. Democrats being the core, Republicans being the periphery. That's why it goes that way. Both parties share power at all times, no matter who is actually elected. No. Yeah, see, and that's the thing is in the United States, they don't share power. You have power over different things, and those different things balance each other out, right? Democrats might win the presidency, but Republicans will still own the Supreme Court. Hence why Democrats are all talking about, we should just start stacking the court, because they know that the Republicans will control the Supreme Court for a very long time. and that they will stop them from doing a number of things that, frankly, are unconstitutional. Yes. Well, Pelosi is in Chinatown. It makes me so mad. Live action. Thinking back about it. Why did you have to remind me of that? It really does boggle the mind that the Democrats became the party of the coronavirus is a bad thing and we need to be scared about it. Because when they started shutting things down, when Donald Trump was saying we need to shut the travel down and everything else, and even was starting to toy with maybe we need to do shutdown, or at least it was being discussed. And meanwhile, Democrats were saying, no, you need to go out to the parade and stuff. There was an instance in California and there was an instance in New York. And the majority of the deaths can be directly attributed to that. Makes me mad. But you know what, Nancy, you know what the biggest problem in American politics, in my opinion, is? In my opinion, it is Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi changed the way that the game is played for the worst. And if she was gone and somebody else was in charge that wasn't a lunatic like her, I think things would be a million times better. Could be wrong, but... Okay, so I'm happy with my exit there. What price did I get? 78. Not bad. There was a few more points in it, but that was good. They just want to ruin Trump's economy? I mean, I think so. I don't know. So remember, I had a theory early on about this that I kind of turned out to be wrong. But I don't know if it's that my theory is wrong or if it was that our assumptions about what the personalities of the two parties are actually like was maybe wrong, right? So remember, we were saying from an evolutionary point of view, people that are personality traits that are more closed, part of those personality traits have developed to protect against infectious disease. And ergo, Republicans are more likely to be freaked out by a pandemic. That was the theory, right? Well, that's not what happened, was it? The Republicans are the ones that are saying, open the economy up. It's not a big deal. We're not scared, yada, 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 yada. So is it, I'm wrong that whole evolutionary psychology theory that's where openness traits came from is total bullshit? Is it that people's economic incentives are just stronger than the personality? Is it that Republicans really are more open than we thought, and that the Donald Trump are the ones that are open, and the Democrats have actually become the one that are not as open in the personality traits? I don't know. It was kind of not the way that I thought it was going to go at all, did it? Do they want to ruin Trump's economy? I don't know. I mean, the thing is that all of these Republican states have opened and they're doing just fine. And the places where you still see a lot of economic damage are places with Democrats. But I think it's even worse than that. I think that the Democrats have some fundamental beliefs about the way things should be done that are just economically damaging, right? Like, really, when you think about it, socialist Democrat positions. Seth dropping some psychometric facts on us. I know, right? This is just always a problem with social democracy problems, right? If this is such a good idea, then wouldn't people just naturally want to do it because it would make everything better? Why don't you go and do that thing that you think is so great? Like, you control California, you can do everything the way that you want to in California, and we'll do everything the way that we want to over here in Utah or Texas or wherever conservative state that you live in. And then, if the way that you do it is so great, then eventually we'll move over to doing it because it's proven to be so beneficial. And what will the response always be to that sort of a thing? Well, no, you can't do that because then it will provide an advantage over the people that are doing the thing. and it won't work out. Everybody has to do it together. So not doing the thing that you want us to do provides me a competitive advantage? It always comes down to that, right? Everything that they want you to do in Democrats, social Democrats, are things that are frankly against your economic interests. Almost always. Very often, at least. Telling you. And so that's what you're having going on right now, is that a lot of Democrats, they're doing these things. They want to say, well, you should, give all of the money to black people. It's really what they're saying in some instances. It's really kind of crazy, some of the stuff they've been saying lately, frankly. Which, hey, like, is there systemic racism? Let's address it where it is. But we shouldn't institute, discrimination the other way that's institutionalized. That's not going to help. Democrats want to tax competence and intelligence. But Democrats think that they're the competent and intelligent ones. Isn't that what we're told? All of the smart, techie people, they're all in California and New York, and all of the Republicans are just podunk farmers that don't have a clue what's going on. The Republicans are just conspiracy theorists and lunatics. That's what they've been telling us. Should minimize this so we can see what's going on over here. They are smart, but not wise. Hey, I mean, that's a valid theory. It's a valid theory. I don't know. I have to tell you, to be honest with you guys, just from my own opinion, going way, way back, like 2008, I was kind of like a Romney technocrat kind of a guy. I think that since then I've kind of realized that these systems are just way too complicated for any kind of government entity to ever competently manage. You just can't do it. And that's the big thing that I've realized, is that you have to make the government really fit in with what human nature is. And human nature is just not very favorable to a large central government. Just isn't. Right? Maybe that's wise. I don't know. But that's kind of my take. But when the Tea Party came along, I didn't like them at all. Because it was like this, populist movement that wanted a lot of things that I knew was not effective or bad. Especially all of the Ron Paul people. I've always been anti Ron Paul. I think that Ron Paul is just a nut, right? And so they kind of went away, and then Donald Trump came along. And I saw Donald Trump, and he was like, okay, he was focusing on the things that I kind of thought were like a real problem, like the immigration issue and the China issue. These were the things that were a real problem. And some of the other things that the Tea Party kind of guys that were all uppity about and were mocked for, they didn't have. And so I'm like, okay, there's somebody that can actually like look at his own, he's not ideologically bound, and he can just look at what's effective, and he's willing to make changes when he needs to, and he'll be flexible. I think that he's done that, but I digress. And I liked Donald Trump because of that. And I was like, well, he seems a little crazy. But then he kept doing well, and there was a certain point around when he won Georgia when I was like, well, I guess I'm a Donald Trump Republican, because he's clearly going to win, and I'm just going to go along with the nominee. Because I'm not going to be a Democrat. So they're just, kill me. Right? But then, as I've been in there, I'm seeing all of these Tea Party types coming out. And I feel like a babysitter sometimes when I'm on the Donald subreddit. No offense to any of you guys that visit there or that have those beliefs. But I just always feel like I'm the one coming in trying to say, okay, but here is like the truth, and let's have some moderation here. I'm always feel like, I'm against the crowd over there when I shouldn't be. And it makes me feel like a babysitter. And so it really has turned into like, I really do feel like that there's a lot of nuts over in the Republican Party right now. Like all of this QA and on thing is total nonsense. Who came up with that monkey dick evolution theory? Oh, I know, a bunch of monkeys humping a doorknob in the middle of the room. Well, I think the place that I first heard about it was what is the name of that guy? That psychologist that everybody on the right likes. I think Seth's topics are causing Munchausen syndrome. No, what is his name? Jordan Peterson. I'm pretty sure that Jordan Peterson was the first place that I ever heard about that. So he talked about different personality traits and what they are and why they were likely developed or evolved. And the openness trait, well, part of it was that if you were really open, then you were more likely to be successful because you would be willing to trade with other people and gain wealth that way. And the people that weren't very open, the reason why those people would be successful is because they were less likely to die when the plague came along. So, but it did not end up being an effective way to predict how Republicans and Democrats would behave, would it? At first, it seemed like it did because I saw a lot of Republicans really scared about it. But then all of a sudden it flipped around. So weird. As soon as Donald Trump said, well, we need to open up the economy, it changed. For sure. Policies at the end bash those countries for being racist or effeminate. What? I don't know. There's a lot of things going on in politics where I don't get where people get some of these ideas. They really make no sense. We want to put everything in the world. I mean, this is a really important thing to remember when you're trading. We want to put everything in the world into neat little boxes, right? Here is the Republicans, and here's everything the Republicans believe, and here's a Democrat, and here's everything that Democrats believe. And based on everything that Democrats believe, this is the way they should behave in this situation. And this is how these people should behave in this situation. And the reality is it's just that there's a wide view of ideas within both parties. And there are some people that really are actually Democrats in the Republican Party, but they're in the Republican Party because they were chased out by one issue that they care about or because of where they live, right? And so, there are these entities that can do really unpredictable things sometimes. And it's just the same thing with the market, right? The market is not just this binary. There's a group of people that think that the economy is going to go up. There's a group of people that think the economy is going to go down. There's different people that are concerned about different issues. And when one of those issues happens, that group of traders takes a trade based off of it and vice versa. And so depending on how many of those people were already in a trade or were affected, you can get unusual moves like this move up that we had in the 60. They bounced off of that 1.2 again, though, didn't they? They weren't too close. They were actually had quite a bit more to go before they were at 1.2. Probably they were only about halfway there. But man, the E-mini sure took a dive after that, didn't they? And I took a good profit. I didn't actually, my indicators was still a little fuzzy on where it should be in terms of like the stop out, but I kind of knew based off of watching it where it would normally be. So I picked the right spot. Watch out, Seth is talking like a Splinter Cell Manchurian kind of essentially a secret closeted commie. Oh, jeez. No, I mean, the thing that I think makes me different, politically speaking, is I am totally with the far right in terms of like, okay, I don't like communism. I don't think that communism works, etc., etc., etc. But I also believe that there are a number of economic beliefs on the right that are nonsense. For instance, one of the things that people on the right believe is that economic stimulus, that you can just, reduce taxes for the rich and everybody else will benefit from that eventually. And I think we've just shown very, very clearly that it doesn't just trickle down. There has to be a reason for it to trickle down. There has to be short-term economic incentives for it to trickle down. And if the people down at the bottom don't have money to buy things, there's no demand side stimulus, then the wealthy just hoard it. This is something that the Republicans have been wrong about. The minimum wage, I think that you have to have it. I think that it should be modified. There should be things that aren't applied to the minimum wage. Like I should be able to hire a 14-year-old kid for like $5 an hour to come help me on my stream. I think that should be allowed. But I shouldn't be allowed to hire somebody to work at Walmart for less than minimum wage, you know? So I think it could be modified. But then Democrats are also wrong in that they think that the minimum wage should be as high as it was in the 70s, whereas where it is right now is actually pretty on par for where it's been most of the history since we've had the minimum wage. And I also don't think that the minimum wage should be a living wage, per se. You're supposed to start at a minimum wage when you're a kid, and then once you grow older and you're on your own and you have your own kids, you should have moved up the ladder to a job that's not just minimum wage. Anyways. Market Ear says, bearish again. These guys need to give up before any meaningful move lower can occur. Anyways, I find that because of that, my set of views, that I have a tendency to be able to piss off both sides of the aisle. And I think because of I'm on Ritalin and stuff, I think it kind of leads me towards arguing with people more than it should. So I take days like, okay, today I'm going to piss off the Republicans. Anyways. The Manchurian Candidate. I watched the newer Manchurian Candidate video. That was an interesting one. It was a weird movie. I'm gonna go watch that again. I remember there being a lot of things like, oh, this is like Hillary Clinton. Oh man. I gotta tell you, another thing with me is that I will very much pick out, like, I'm very much about what makes somebody actually effective if you put them in, an elected position. And there are some people that I just really don't like because of that. Like Elizabeth Warren would make the worst president you could possibly get. Both Bernie and Elizabeth, probably the worst personalities you could stick in there. That's the kind of person that ends up doing something crazy and really despotic, even if they don't intend to, because of their ideological leanings. Because they can't see straight. Well, I feel like I'm just babbling now. Well, we got about 8 minutes, but and the E-mini is recovering quite nicely. I'm wondering, it does seem to me that the bears are jumping on it all too quickly, and so they're not getting a lot of shorts that they can stop out. I guess now since this maybe not. I don't know. I do see the little spot where like it was possible they might have been able to get to 35.56. But and that again, that line's probably not very effective right now. Salim says I would rather have Joe than Bernie. I agree too. But here's the problem is that we're not going to get Joe. We're going to get Kamala. It seems to me like it's really Kamala's running the show. I don't know. This is one that I really struggle with. Vlad says I don't see much edge here. Yeah, it feels like that the shorts like blew their whole wad there on the short, and that it can't go any further now. Sudden drops can do 68% retrace. Sure. Well, that could work. One time we had Reagan Democrats and Kennedy Republicans. They were called moderates. Many have been led astray. You're right, Gary. Oh, you're right. I would vote for Kennedy. In fact, I think that at that time, I would have called myself a Democrat. Because I don't think that the Republicans really, at that time, really aligned with how I thought. It's kind of funny. One of the things that I find really funny when I'm going back through the history is I'll be like, okay, what would I be thinking at that time? And what's the issue that I think that they would need to be fixing, you know? And there was always these things that I was like, hey, these are dumb ideas and we got to fix them. And it was like that through most of the first half of the last century in the United States. There's just these systemic problems, and it was like they just need to put somebody in there that's competent and will get something done, and they'll fix all of these problems. And they did, and you know what his name was? This is where it gets stupid. Hold on, the squawk is saying something. If you're a high earner, then worry, otherwise it doesn't affect you. Or you're talking about the HFT tax. Okay, anyways, who was the guy that got put in that got it done? Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon came in and he fixed a lot of problems, but you know what? Then he came in and he did a bunch of other things that were really stupid, like price controls and all that nonsense. Remember that? It's like two steps forward and 2 steps back, and now it's just you have a different set of problems now. What the heck? Like, I remember reading that and I was like, oh, Richard Nixon, it looks like his platform, those are all the things that I think are wrong at the moment. I think he'd be pretty good. And then he got in office and he did all of these things and I'm like, no, price controls, no, that's really bad. That's really, really bad. Biden wouldn't tax your trading out of existence, but Bernie would. Oh, sure. Well, the Democrats are going to try and do it anyways. Can you imagine? So New Jersey imposes a high-frequency trading tax. So everybody moves their data centers out of New Jersey, and then New York would try to put one on. Here's the thing that bothers that. Actually, no. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It pisses me off. It pisses me off. This idea, this high-frequency trading tax, and here's why. You come in and you say that it's not fair that the robots can trade so fast and that they have such an outsized impact on the market, and we need to do something about it, so we should impose a tax. Don't make it illegal or anything. Oh, yes, you can continue to fleece us just as long as you pay the government a fee. What a load of shit. If it's a problem, then just ban it. Good grief. That makes me mad. But then they would say, well, you can't ban it. So you just make it unprofitable. But it won't work that way. It won't. The market will just adjust. And I don't think it would adjust favorably for us personally. We just get nickeled and dimed, and then the guys that actually have the HFTs would continue to do what they're doing. And it's a problem that's easy to fix. No tax needed to fix it. No, you're right. Reduce the tick size. Reduce the tick size, and there won't be enough reward in the kind of trades that those HFTs are taking to be. Oh, Gary. You guys know that I've been intentionally ignoring that on you guys today. That's funny. They're just trying to goad me into it. So we don't want YouTube to come in and be like, Seth, you have a misogynistic chat. No, I don't agree with that. I'm reprimanding you. Women should have the right to vote, right? level the latency at the exchange and regulate the orders. That might work too, plan B. I'm not so sure that. So this thing like that exchange where everybody has more latency, I'm not 100% sure if that's the answer. But the problem with that one is that those guys really aren't trying to screw over the HFTs or anything. Like, they're not putting. Do you know any retail traders that trade on that exchange? No. You know what? That exchange is for Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, the big guys, right? You're just giving the big banks a bigger advantage on that one. I think that, though, the tick size was so small that you really couldn't make money from just taking ticks, that would be more favorable to us. Because then the robots would have to actually understand what's going on in the market and the news that's driving us and so on and so forth. And I don't think that the robots can effectively do that. I think that the robots are way better at the really short microsecond time frame, right? So if we did that, I think that it would eliminate a lot of fluff if we just reduce the tick size. Allow them to price stocks in sub 1 cent increments. 1/10 of a cent. Allow them to do it to 1/10 of a cent. I think that people can figure that one out. Why don't you leave them alone? You think that we're going to go higher? Break the break the regular session high? Well, I tell you what, look at the cumulative delta on that last little move up. It was actually a little unnatural. I guess it wasn't a huge move, though. It could be still choppy. They didn't call Richard Nixon Tricky Dick for nothing. Oh, man. What? Babylon B tweets, Party of the Poor and Oppressed nominates old rich white man and cop. Why did they not do that story earlier? I've heard that joke many times already. Andrew Cuomo tweets, Trump now criticizes me because I speak the truth. He can't handle it. He said, my COVID leadership was great. I was working hard and applauded me for my bold response. New Yorkers flattened the curve. Trump's failed leadership and incompetence cost thousands of lives. Wrong. I don't know if it's completely Cuomo's fault, but we all know what I'm going to say, right? Nursing homes, it's all that matters. The HFT tax will just be passed on to us. It always works that way. Yeah, you're totally right, Gary. You're totally right. What if HFTs decided to ban you? What would be your justification? I don't think I have a justification for participating in the market. If I have a participation, it's because God wanted me to. That was what I was put here on the earth to do, was to lose money trading and to destroy the hopes and dreams of other aspiring traders by proving to them that their strategies don't work. That's why I'm here. Okay, I'm done. Hey, guys. Good to be back. Oh, what should we call today's stream? Euro spikes. Mid Brexit drama. Ladies and gents, September has been great. Been at this for 10 hours, so closing shop. Hey, thank you, Plan B. I will see you later tomorrow. Thanks for all the fish. Or Roger Stone. Nope, I'm not going to get into it. I will see you guys. Why advice? I'm not in military. I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable.